Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Dr. Scott. On the road today. Cheers to you. I am coming to you live from Kansas City, Missouri. I was working with a couple clients out here, and figured I needed to keep up my 7 a.m. show. So here we are. I got a quick little simple concept for you today. A capacity concept. We've been talking about it as far as referrals are concerned, how important capacity is, how important convenience is for your patients. So I've got a good one that's going to help you grow your practice up to 30% almost overnight. I'm giving away one of my best secrets here, something I do on on-sites all the time. Stick around for that. Before we get started, let me know your answer to the question of the day, although I forget what I put for the question of the day. There it is. So what's your spring backyard project? For those of you like me up in the north central, north anywhere where we've had this terrible weather and it's finally clearing up, what's the big project you're trying to get to here in the spring? Some of you in the south might not be familiar with that whole concept of spring, but so you might not have. If you have a project outdoors, let me know what it is. I've got about 1 million of them this summer. With all the animals we have in the backyard, I got to build some fences. We got to build a little pond for the ducks. And the kids are picking at me for a playhouse. It's been 2 years now. 2 springs in a row. This will be the 3rd spring in a row I promised to build a tree house for them. So they're picking pretty hard. They always seem to forget when the time comes, which is good, but I need to build a tree house this year too. So what is your backyard spring project? Put it in the comments down below for me, please. And let's get into it. So Monday, when I spoke, I talked about really convenience, capacity, how that I made you a promise. Do you remember? I gave you a challenge and I made you a promise that if you added across the board enough capacity to serve one more new patient every day, that new patient every day will start showing up. It's a matter of you already having the demand, and it's a matter of you just not having the space for them right now. And if you create that space, if you do whatever it takes, you add more staff, you add more space, you add more equipment, you speed up the doctor, little hint for you right there, little foreshadowing, that's where we're going today, you will be able to get those new patients. They're already there, they already want to call your office, you just don't have space for them right now. So create the space, my 2-step practice building philosophy, make a space and then fill it. So if you make the space, it will almost fill itself. So today we're going to talk about doctor speed because I almost feel like I create these things sometimes. Me talking about it on Monday, yesterday I met with a doctor who big issue really is doctor speed. And that's why this is such a simple concept right now, is because most of you don't realize it. And he had no idea. He thinks he moves fast, and quite honestly he does. He moves fast to his patients, he moves fast in the adjustment. I shouldn't say fast. He's very thorough, gives great adjustments. When I asked him how long he spent in a room with a patient, he says he schedules 2 every 15. Pretty common, 7.5 minute turnaround, that's not too bad. And when I asked him how long he spent in the room, he said probably 6 to 8 minutes. So here we are at a 6 to 8 minute adjustment time, 7.5 minute appointment time. So, a little early, a little late, he keeps on track. He's busy throughout the day, and he continually told me, he was always saying, like, I don't have time for this because I'm so busy. And it was a theme that kept going, right? I'm just so busy. He's packed full. And as I dug into it and tried to figure out, where the problem might be, come to find out he's a little understaffed right now, which is affecting his doctor speed. So he does do some therapies. He's got 2 rooms to adjust out of, and guess how many he's using? 1, right? And I've seen it happen a lot of times. People get into a flow. They practice at a certain pace, they get used to it, then they get busier and they don't change their pace. He did the same thing. So he has 2 rooms, but he adjusts out of 1, and his mindset was because he's understaffed, he can't get his staff to bring the patient back to the rooms for him. So he finished up with the patient, finished up the note, asked the patient to come with him. So they stand up, and again, Kansas City, so bad weather. Think about the winter. They're putting on their coats, they're putting stuff back in their pockets. He walks them all the way up to the front, which is a good little jaunt, hands them off, gives them new schedule to the front desk, calls the next patient, who now has to stand up, maybe take their coat off, come back to the room with them, walk all the way back down that hallway again, walk into the room. Now they might take stuff out of their pockets, right, and get themselves prepared and start talking to that doctor. So it's not about the time he spends adjusting a patient. It's about all that time in between adjusting patients that's costing him a lot of money. And as I did the math, we started talking about it, he probably adjusts for 4 to 5 minutes, but he's taking 6 to 8 with every patient. So it's that 2 to 3 in the middle between patients that's costing him the money. And if he did nothing else but remove that by adding an additional staff, the math I did means that he would produce an extra $100,000 next year. So, by a staff member, how much they cost? Maybe even part-time, maybe just at your busiest times, to walk a patient back, put them in the room. I'm not saying they have to be laying face down or anything like that. I'm simply saying that they have to be ready for the doctor. Would allow him to go from one room to the next room, to the next room, to the next room, and would easily speed him up by 30%. Increase his income by 30%. And, I don't know what pay is in your area. I've got a couple clients in some high dollar districts right now that are looking to hire staff for what I would normally pay, and they can't find anybody. They're paying a lot higher dollar bills. So, but still, what are you going to pay a staff member? $20,000 at the most, $30,000 to capture that $100,000 for your practice. So that's the tip for the day. Look at your systems. Look at how much time you're spending in between patients. That's the killer. Please don't shorten your treatment time. I would never ask that of a doctor. Just look at what your treatment time is and optimize that, and then minimize all the stuff in between, and you can speed yourself up. You can see the same number of patients you're seeing right now with a third less energy, which will automatically create more capacity, which will automatically make the phone ring, and you will fill back up to your new capacity. You won't be working any harder, but you'll be seeing 30% more people making 30% more money. That's your tip for the day. I got some work to do here, and I got a flight today, so I'm going to sign off for now. I will see you all Friday morning, 7 a.m. Talk to you then.